Do you love your country? I know I do. You see, I'm 25 years old, and I've learned over a long period of time to truly appreciate the freedoms that I have in this country. Of course, I've only lived in one other country before in my life, and I was a toddler when my father was based as a military police officer in Germany back in the 1980s. So I've never known what it's been like to live in another country, but I've heard enough testimonies about the oppression that many people feel in those other environments. So this is something that I guess had to groan into, like I had to fall in love with all by myself without any kind of external help, I guess. And it's been a rocky road. It really has. I've had my period of time where admittedly I didn't have so much faith in or love for my country. Personally, I'm ashamed of it. That there was once a time when I thought that America, I guess, was less than moral, for lack of a better expression. But that's not why I'm talking to you here. You see, this April marks a very unfortunate occasion in our country's history. A milestone that never really had to be. Actually, there are a number of milestones. And it all, for some reason, is centered around the month of April. Let's put it this way. As of, April 12th. As of April 12th, it'll mark the 150th anniversary of the start of the Civil War. Seriously. It's crazy, that much time has passed since this great divisive event in our nation's history. But it happened. Quite honestly, there's nothing we could do about it now, except for to continue to move forward. To continue to promote policies that can bring us together. But how can that be when there's actually still a lasting attitude that is negative toward those efforts to bring us together? I'm going to address one of those particular attitudes that concerns me so much in a moment. But I also want to mention two other milestones in the month of April. First of all, there is the more joyous occasion by comparison to the first one I mentioned, wherein on April 9th it'll mark the 146th anniversary of the end of the Civil War. Though the last bullets didn't stop firing until June of that year in 1865, because obviously news traveled a little bit more slowly back then, at least when it came to ending wars. And even with that, with everything that happened, this country still became very divided. And I guess I'm going through all of this to I guess come to this one point that I'm trying to make here, and it's that we really have a problem in this country that we still have not been able to get past this divisive moment in our country's history. There are literally still people out there who believe that the Civil War was merely a war about northern aggression, I've heard it, or about states' rights. And in some ways those two things are true. I used to blindly go around saying it wasn't about slavery myself, but in the end it all does revolve around slavery. It was about slavery that the southern states were fighting for the states' rights. That's why they seceded from the Union. Now, whether or not, you believe that states have a right to secede, I think is still debatable. I really do. I mean, it's against the law now, but I still think that it's still debatable regarding states' rights whether or not they have the right to secede. But on the question of slavery, it may very well have been the moral thing to do to keep this country together if it truly was, if the sole aim of that truly was to end slavery. Of course, history shows that slavery didn't exactly end, like that. Slavery still existed in the North. As a matter of fact, the Emancipation Proclamation, issued by President Lincoln, only freed the slaves in the Confederate South, which really didn't have any enforceable power behind it at that moment because the South didn't recognize President Lincoln's authority. And Lincoln himself proved himself to be a little bit of a tyrant here and there, suppressing some dissent and stuff, but that's besides the point. I guess the point is that after the era of Reconstruction, after the whole civil rights movement, we still have people out there who actually hold up this symbol of rebellion on a pedestal, claim it's a part of their heritage. I also used to buy into that. As a matter of fact, back in 2000, my maternal grandfather, took me on a vacation to North Carolina, at which point I bought a number of souvenirs, as most people do when they go vacationing in an area that they've never been to before. And because of my obsession with history and flags, as well as that first wall view that America was less than perfect, I purchased 2 rebel flags. One was a smaller one was a larger one. One you can raise up on a big pole. The other one, the smaller one I mentioned, is, I don't know where it is, but I do have the bigger one. As a matter of fact, it's right here. Am I proud of this thing? No, I'm not. I really am not. It's actually a constant reminder of how ignorant I once was. I'm not a redneck. I have no racist viewpoints whatsoever. I was just honestly ignorant as to what this is a symbol for. But I've come to this conclusion that not only is this a symbol of pain, and I'll get to that in a second, for millions, but it's also a symbol of division. Whether or not you're racist, it symbolizes the division that once plagued this country. It actually still plagues this country in many ways. Whether you call yourself a redneck or a proud southerner, a true staunch believer in states' rights and sectionalism, if you will, regardless of any of those, there is no excuse for holding this up on such a high mantle to be proud of. There's nothing to be proud of about this. I am ashamed at my previous 15-year-old self for thinking it was cool, that it would be a good thing to buy one of these things. And I've been stuck with this thing being in a drawer, folded up, for over a decade now. I used to hang it up in my window. Not when I wasn't, like I said before, I wasn't a racist, but I was dumb enough to hang it up in my window as a sign of, hey, look, I'm, at the time, anti-government and stuff. And it was really nonsensical. I'll just sum it up like that. But I hate this thing. And all of you out there, if you truly love this country, you should hate this thing too. You know what this brought us? This almost brought us the destruction of this great nation of ours. This nation that I'm pretty sure you profess to love. Do you claim to love this country? I know I haven't always, but I have been gradually more and more, in my adult life as compared to my adolescence. But how about you? If you're 50 years old and you have a rebel flag in your house, truly look at that thing and say, can you say that I am a true patriot? looking at this symbol of division here. Is that a standard that is observed in any other country? I mean, I really don't know for sure, but does any other country that with people who call themselves true patriots have a symbol from that country's past, like sign of division? You know, stood like raised up right next to a patriotic symbol? Seriously. And what about the pain? I mean, this symbol right here, you know, led to the deaths of, first of all, hundreds of thousands of American soldiers, and countless others in terms of civilians. Led to the assassination, our very first presidential assassination. Abraham Lincoln, who died just 6 days after the end of the Civil War. He was assassinated, in large part because of this. What about the countless numbers of African Americans and even members of even other minorities who have suffered because of those who champion this symbol? Do you really like to associate yourself with that? You know, this isn't on some equal, you know, playing field or whatever, you know, as the American flag. No, I mean, yeah, our government has done its fair share of horrible things, but this truly is a symbol of hate, people, of division. There is nothing positive about this. So, I am proposing something. How about this year? Seeing how it's a pretty decent occasion regarding, first of all, there's that 150th anniversary of the Civil War's beginning. Not that we should celebrate that, but you know, it's definitely significant. But in addition to that, later this year on July 4th, we celebrate our country's 235th birthday. I know how I'm going to celebrate America's 235th birthday. I plan on holding what I call a rebel flag burning day. Yes, I plan on getting rid of this thing once and for all. And if I can, I'm going to locate that other little, you know, sucker around here somewhere. I propose that you, if you are truly a bleeding red, white, and blue American, I propose that if you have a rebel flag in your home, or you know where to locate one, buy them if you have to. Take it out into your backyard or whatever. If you feel a little skittish about it, get pre-approval from fire marshal or whatever, and hold your own personal rebel flag burning day on Independence Day. Let's redeclare our independence, not against tyranny from some foreign oppressor, or from the tyranny of hatred and division, especially in light of what happened in Tucson. We've got to change the direction of this country, and what better of a way to do it than on the very year that we celebrate mark, I should say, the 150th anniversary of the Civil War's beginning, as well as our nation's 235th birthday. Why not celebrate both of those things, or mark both of those occasions with the destruction of this ever divisive symbol that continues to plague our discourse? United we stand, divided we fall, people. This country almost imploded, completely imploded, just 150 years ago. It's time that we reclaim what I consider to be the American birthright. This belief, that we are united as one. E pluribus unum, out of many one. It's time that we reconnect with that, don't you think?